Okay, hi everyone. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll get started. I hope you're all doing well out there and that you can hear me okay. Welcome to SULF's webinar. And today our Head of Research and International Affairs, Karin, will talk about a career outside of academia. My name is Caroline and I will moderate this webinar. As you may have noticed, all microphones are turned off, but questions are very welcome. Write your questions in the chat room and I will make sure that Karin receives them. In case there are too many questions and we don't have time to answer them all, you can always contact the SULF membership helpline, provided of course that you're a SULF member, or visit our website, sulf.se. I have some technical support with me today through my colleague Sara. So if you're having technical issues, write it in the chat room and we will try to help you. We will be recording this session because we will publish it onto our website so that you can watch it again or recommend a colleague to watch it. We're also live streaming it on Facebook, so you can watch it there. Before we get into today's subject, I would like to introduce you to SULF. SULF is the Swedish Association of University Teachers and Researchers. We're a politically independent union and a professional association for university teachers, researchers, and doctoral candidates such as yourselves. SULF is the only union that knows and understands higher education. We negotiate, inform, debate, and influence issues related to the structure of higher education. As a member of SULF, you get individual guidance and support in questions regarding work, pay, and benefits. And this is done through your local union or SULF's membership support line. We have local unions at most universities in Sweden, and the local union consists of members that get elected to represent you in the workplace. And they are the foundation of union work. So check out your local union and their activities. Your membership also gives you access to SULF's Doctoral Candidate Association. Their mission is to make your voice heard and to improve working conditions for PhD candidates at Swedish universities. Okay, but that's enough about SULF. Now I'd like to hand over this SULFinar to my colleague Karin.
Thank you, Caroline, and good morning to you all, and welcome to this short webinar. My name is Karin Åmossa. I work as Head of Research and International Affairs at SULF, and that means that I work with higher education and research policy making in Sweden and also in collaboration with colleagues from other unions in other countries worldwide. So I have chosen to name this webinar, Should I Stay or Should I Go? You know, the old Clash song from 1981. The reason is that the text of the song, it's a good song, but it also is that the text of the song, it describes the situation many of you might find yourself in after successfully having defended your doctoral thesis. Now you have a PhD after working hard for 4 or more years. But in many fields of research, the employment situation and the working conditions are very insecure. In Swedish academia, almost 1/3 of the academic staff is on short-term contracts, and that is doctoral candidates uncounted. So, and that is way over the labor market in general, especially for people with an academic education in your age or up. After I defended my doctoral thesis in economic history back in 2004, I continued as an academic hang-around for a couple of years, not really knowing if I wanted to stay or go. I had a number of 6-month contracts with various degrees of teaching and research, not uncommon then and not now. The department where I worked was not very clear on if they wanted to invest in me or not. So I guess it was kind of convenient for them to have me around when they needed me with no or little commitment. So let's go back to the song. It's always tease, tease, tease. You're happy when I'm on my knees. One day it's fine and next it's black. Well, come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go? So, okay. This is of course said jokingly, but nevertheless, it is a feeling shared by many new PhDs. Universities and university colleges are not seldom bad at giving clear messages on whether a person is suited for an academic career or if the knowledge gained during third cycle education could be in better use elsewhere. And then there is of course the question, what do you want? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? If you stay, you will probably get a job that you love, but with sometimes insecure conditions. You will, depending on field, have to compete with others for research funding and positions. So if you are a person who can live with insecurity and a competitive working environment, you might never want to stop. SULF is probably one of very few unions with members who wish to get a higher retirement age. Our elderly members don't necessarily demand to have an employment with a salary, but they do want to keep their association with the university. And especially, they want to keep their email addresses. But if you want to go, where can you go? And is there any value in a doctoral degree outside academia? The Swedish Higher Education Authority, UKÄ in Swedish, has published a report on establishment in the labor market among individuals awarded doctoral degrees in Sweden between 1998 and 2012. That includes me, for example. The headline in the press release from 2018 was "Doctoral degrees leads to good position in the labor market." Just over 80% of those with a doctoral degree between these years were established in the labor market after 3 years. Establishment in the labor market was highest in engineering and technology and lowest in the humanities. Establishment increased with the number of years after obtaining a degree, and more men than women were established in the labor market. 3 years after obtaining a degree, 82% of men and 80% of women were established. You might not think that that is very high, but it is, I promise you. So because being defined as established requires the doctoral degree holder to have a relatively good income and to not have been unemployed at all during the follow-up year. That means that persons on, for example, postdoc scholarships are not defined as established, even if they work full-time. And they have also looked at differences in salary levels, and UKÄ says that there are no big differences in salary levels compared to individuals with other higher education degrees in the short run. But in the long run, salaries are higher for people with doctoral degrees. And also it depends on which sector you are in. Medical sector is the one with the highest reward for a doctoral degree. And one reason for this, it could be, of course, that salaries in academia are generally lower than in the outside labor market. So where do you work as a PhD? And if you choose to leave academia, I want to ask my colleagues to put on the first picture so you can see a graph. So this one shows Thank you. It's from the Swedish Research Council, and it shows if of the people, the cohort finishing their PhDs in 2002 and 3, the year before me, the 2 years before me, and who stays in academia. And you can see that social sciences, that's, for example, that's me. In economic history, is a social science. So almost 60% of my colleagues in social sciences stay working in academia. And you can see that it drops as the years go by after dissertation. So, and the lowest shares are in natural sciences, technological sciences, and medicine. And if you look at all, you see that a little bit less than a third will leave academia. So even if you think that you're going to stay in academia, you want to keep on working as a researcher, and you love this, most of you will actually leave, as I did. So, and when you have a PhD, where you work is that public sector is most common. About every other of the established works here, including universities. There are big differences, as you can see, between academic fields. A majority of you who are in social sciences or humanities will continue working in public sector, while those of you who are in technical sciences will go to the private sector in a very high degree. If we look at occupation, university teacher and researcher is the most common occupation for PhDs. But only 1/3 works in academia, as you can see here, as I said, 3 years after being awarded a doctoral degree. So what will happen is that you will probably spend your working life as medical doctors, administrators in public authorities, chemists, civil engineers, or as in my case, as an investigator in different kinds of association. So now you can take away the picture. Thank you. And if you feel or if you're thinking about leaving academia, there are a couple of things that you should think about. And I'm speaking from my own experience here. So first, what is your area of expertise, really? I am a doctor in economic history, and my dissertation was about the construction of work identities for salespersons in the Swedish department store NK in the years from 1918 to 1975. So, I am a leading national expert on work in NK during this period. That's a good thing. And you are probably leading experts in a number of extremely interesting, but maybe somewhat narrow areas of knowledge. Being, for example, an expert in department store work, fish aggression, cryptographic protocols of sex differences in episodic memory, or it could be a little bit hard to sell to an employer outside academia. But if I instead told you that you probably don't know what you know, and that you have to let go of your darlings and stop identifying with the subject of your dissertation, and instead look at what you have learned during your doctoral education, you might get surprised. I have held this speech dozens of times in various forms to newly graduated doctors, and only once or twice has someone recognized the following text, and it's my question on the top, and I want to ask my colleagues to put on the second picture. And now I can't ask you if you recognize it, but we can talk about it later. My question to you is that if you were an employer, would you find it attractive to employ a person who can demonstrate the capacity for scholarly analysis, as well as to review and assess new and complex phenomena, issues and situations autonomously and critically? 2, who can demonstrate the ability to identify and formulate issues with scholarly precision, critically, autonomously, and creatively, and to plan and use appropriate methods to undertake research and other qualified tasks within predetermined timeframes, and to review and evaluate such work. Who can demonstrate the ability in both national and international contexts to present and discuss research and research findings authoritatively in speech and writing and in dialogue with the academic community and society in general. Who can demonstrate the ability to identify the need for further knowledge and demonstrate the capacity to contribute to social development and support the learning of others, both through research and education and in some other qualified professional capacity. This is, I guess that most of you don't know what kind of text it is, but I say that this is what you know and are able to do if you have successfully defended your doctoral thesis. If you don't know this or have this capacity, you wouldn't have succeeded. So what is it? The text is extracted from the Higher Education Ordinance, Qualifications and Skills for a Degree of Doctor. If you are applying for a job, thanks. If you are applying for a job that is not immediately within your subject area, this is what you should focus on when presenting yourself for an outside employer. Of course, it depends on which job you are applying for, and maybe you need to ease up the language a little bit, but the chance is good that you are getting a highly qualified job. According to the Swedish Higher Education Authority, UKÄ, most of the established PhDs work within an occupation that demands specialist competence. That goes for around 90%, but not within the area of the dissertation. So my advice to you, if you want to look for work outside academia, is to focus on the qualifications you have gained during your education. Learn how to tell others what you have learned and how it can be useful for other employers than universities. If you can't do that, how can you expect others to understand the value of a PhD? So to sum up, the value of a PhD could be a contribution to factfulness, very much needed, common ground of knowledge, critical thinking, to stand up against populism, fact resistance, and denial of knowledge. And last but not least, to contribute to a more democratic society and a more sustainable future. So that is what I call a qualified job and qualified workforce. So thank you for listening. I will stop talking now, and I want to hear if you have questions or if you wanted to discuss something with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Karin. We do have a question regarding the report you referred to. Which year was it from? Was it
2018.
And 18. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's fairly new.
It's fairly new
report
yes.
coming, or are they updating that?
I don't know. There are reports coming regularly from UKÄ, and I know that they prioritize establishment in the workforce. But this one is, in their view, fairly new, so it's 2 years old, and I would say that it still holds.
And a personal question: what do you miss about leaving, or what do you miss about academia, and what do you not miss?
I miss the students a lot, actually. I realized with the years, and I miss concentrating on something that you are really interested in and that you know a lot about. I have that in my work here as well, but it's more shattered, so that I can miss. What I don't miss is the insecurity. I don't miss the feeling now. Of course, I'm a lot older and more established in the labor market than what I was then. But I don't miss the insecurity. I don't miss the low salary, and yeah, the competition, feeling of competition. I don't miss that. I really think that it would be a good thing if, and it happens, I'm sure, somewhere in some places, but if academics were working more together to reach a common goal. What I do here in my job at the union, I work with my colleagues, and we are all working to reach the same goals. We don't have that kind of competition among us. We work together, and that is a good thing.
Let me see here. Here's another question. Is there any value in the added experience of doing a postdoc with the ultimate goal of leaving academia after that?
I must honestly say that I don't know, and I think it depends on in what area you are in and what kind of work you want to do. For example, if you are in the medical area, doing a postdoc and then going outside to maybe work with research in then it's of good value. But I don't think if you want to work in the public sector, for example, that a postdoc is adding on a lot to a doctoral degree. The degree is the highest degree you can get. So I think employers are looking more to that, and maybe they don't really know what postdoc is. And of course, it depends on if the employer is far from academia or close to them. So I don't think I can give a better answer than that.
Another question is, do you have any insight about the European labor market for PhDs? Or if you don't, do you know where they can search for that information?
Yes, the European market for PhD outside academia, I think it's more, it could actually be a little bit better, because in many other countries in Europe, they are more, they want more of this formal education and degrees. Swedish employers are, especially in the private sector, they don't really care so much about degrees. For example, in the technologies, a lot of companies, they don't care if their workforce have a master's degree or any degree. They take them before they finish their education. So it depends in what area. If you want to know more, we have sister unions in every European country. So there is a the European Union for higher education and education unions is called ETUCE. I repeat, ETUCE, that is European Trade Union Committee for Education. And if you go to their web and you Google it, you write just ETUCE and education or something, then you can find all the member unions, and you can also find a lot of things about higher education in Europe, where you can find the member unions, and then depending on what country you want to know about, you can contact them.
Okay, we're soon going to break this up. One last question is actually, if you are looking for a career inside of academia, is it limited to becoming a lector or a postdoc, or do you see any other?
No, it's not limited. It depends on if you want to work with teaching and research. If you want to do that, then it's postdoc is a good thing, of course, but you can work as a lecturer or with the ultimate goal of becoming a professor, maybe. But also there is a lot of administrative work in the universities that is very qualified. For example, working with internationalization, working with development of quality assurance, or a lot of things that you can do and that you need to have a doctor's degree to do. So I would say it's there. I can't remember now how many are working in administrative positions, but there are a lot of qualified jobs in that within academia, and also leadership, of course.
All right. Time is about up, but thank you so much for all your questions, and thank you, Karin. We didn't have time to answer all of your questions. Hopefully you can get some answers at sulf.se, or as I said in the beginning, if you're a SULF member, you can contact our membership helpline. Before we go, I would like to remind you of the importance and the benefits of being a SULF member as a PhD candidate. It gives you access to SULF's income insurance, our knowledge on higher education, as well as labor law. You can call our helpline that I've mentioned several times today. And you can do all this to a reduced membership rate as long as you're a PhD candidate. So if you aren't already a member, join today and tell your friends to join. Go to sulf.se to fill out the application. And you should also become a member in an unemployment fund. Without it, you won't be able to benefit from SULF's income insurance. The membership fee in a union does not include a membership in an unemployment fund. So this is our last SULFinar for PhD candidates before the summer. And we at SULF would like to thank you for taking part of this series of seminars. Without you, it wouldn't have been possible. And thank you for all your questions. So thank you, and have a great summer.